What's good, folks? We back. Today we're gonna be talking about The Walking Dead, and we usually see everything from the survivor perspective. But let's get into the elephant in the room, the stuff nobody really trying to talk about. Listen, these survivors, they make impossible choices, and they losing group members every other day. But what if we could actually stop the apocalypse? I know it sounds like a tough task, but I'm gonna try to go in, break down what I think could actually stop the apocalypse, and we're gonna see from there. Now, first up, Walker eyes. I know. What does that have to do with anything? Gross, but I can see something very useful from it. Like, imagine this. There's a new commodity out. The word gets spread around. Walker eyes for trading supplies. And, people might keep them as a flex. But listen, in a world where food is scarce, ammo is scarce, everything is rare, how do you get people to go outside and really handle this walker problem? Listen, you pay them. Simple as that. And you pay them in walker eyes. The more you collect, the more you could... Come on, you know what I'm getting at now. You could barter for way more stuff. So, it's kind of like killing walkers now going to be a 9 to 5. Because you getting paid for it now. Now more people want to do it. And less walkers going to be on the street because of that. Now, I can see somebody trying to manipulate this in a way. And we know if someone die, they'll eventually turn into a walker, no matter if they got bit or they didn't get bit. And I feel like we could have somebody, they're trying to cheat the system. They get people, they let them turn into walkers, and then they pluck their eyes out that way, and then they forming survivors who was really alright before it happened. So I could definitely see that being a problem. But I feel like overall more people would go out and get these walkers. The only thing about this is you really gotta spread the word. And hey, let's not think about this with Clementine Group. Let's think about it with the New Frontier. We know how huge they are, how many people they have. If Walker eyes were a commodity there, hey, I'm just saying, that's a big plus. And listen, the main goal right here is to spread the word so everybody know that, hey, money, walker eyes. And I think you could preserve them in a jar or something, so it ain't like it's gonna go bad anytime soon. But next up, we gotta talk about these safe zones. Kinda like how the motor inn was in season 1, or Clementine boarding school in final season. We gotta fortify these places. We gotta make them impenetrable. But this time, don't just wait for the next bandit attack or food shortage. You gotta you gotta get prepped early right here. We Batman right now. So picture this, a stronghold where survivors could rest. Plan out different little sets of missions out. And when I say plan out, I'm talking about, alright, this place right here is overrun with walkers. We got a plan to take back territory. Now, when I say take back territory, I'm not talking about fighting no people. I'm talking about take back the territory that the walkers are in. Because if you clear out the walkers, then the human settlement could get even bigger. Listen, we turn this into a strategy. It's basically a strategy game now. Step 1, you gotta survive. Step 2, you gotta expand. And then 3, just thrive on the land you got. I know, just bashing heads then, it doesn't solve everything. Listen, like they say all the time, violence don't solve everything. But what if, with these bashed in remains that we got, and these human eyeballs, walker eyeballs, some of them probably will be human, but that's not the point. We gotta study them. Listen, there gotta be something in there that we could do. We gotta approach this with a little bit of scientific stuff after we do the little violence. And believe me, there's some smart cookies out there still. So I feel like if everybody really put their heads together and get a little bit more information out of stuff like, I don't know, just some important buildings, big buildings with scientific stuff in them. You know what I'm talking about. But on a more serious note, there is things that we know they could make already. Like, for example, when you cut open a walker and you smear their guts all over you, it works as a repellent. So if you get this repellent, going out everywhere, then it could make killing the walkers and dealing with the walkers a whole lot more easier. And now maybe these herds won't be that aggressive. Hey, that's just one thing. Listen, with enough research and enough science and enough people putting their heads together, you don't know what they could make. But let's talk about mind games. Now, if you remember in season 1, they use these big old church bells to get the zombie herd moving in a different direction. So, if we have it set up already, it could be a very useful tool. And it'll get all of them in their own place. So, with that being said though, you gotta think about it, man. You see those big old herds. Those big old herds, they hear that sound, they all gonna flock to it. Now, you could be setting traps out there, or you could just pin them there and use them for some experimentation. Listen, I don't know what type of experiments you could do, but I do think I know some stuff that you might could work. Going back on that point that I made where coating yourself in walker guts really helps you out. So first thing, look, you can make yourself some perfume. Look, it gonna stink, but them walker guts, it'll keep you safe. And we already know how to concentrate a smell, so I'm thinking put that stanky walker stuff in a bottle, make sure it's concentrated, and spray that on yourself before you go out, and you should be good. And it temporarily immunes you to walkers. And listen, I ain't trying to be no Leatherface, but with these zombies, listen, the walker guts thing, it's a real big thing. We could have walker guts, camouflage suits. Like, think about it though. Everybody wearing this suit. It's a little bit of fashion. Like, it ain't gotta look the best, but it could definitely keep you safe. You could also put it on. Listen, we know you could put it on your guns. You could put it on your weapons, and you might could even put it on a car. Cause if they not attacking a car, hey, well, you got a good way to travel around. Now, for this one, you gonna need a guinea pig. You might need to find someone who did something bad. But listen, we know. First, let me talk about something real quick. We talking about something that you probably didn't expect to talk about right now. We gonna be getting all sciencey and talking about the immune system. Listen, we know that if you bit, you do turn. But let's say we get a little bit of walker blood and we try to build an immunity to it. By what I mean by that is try a less concentrated version of the walker blood. Like, take some of it out and add a whole lot of water to it. And maybe over time, like with snake venom or any venom and how these vaccines work, your body will slowly build an immunity to it. I know it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. You might get nauseated. You might be falling around, and some people might even turn to walkers. But maybe it's worth it. Hey, I don't know who to test it on, but somebody gotta get tested on it. Cause if you could build an immunity to it and spread a vaccine all across the world with it, then no more walkers gonna get turned into it. But there is one thing else that I wanted to point out. First of all, nobody survives alone. Unless you Molly, maybe. But we don't even know if she alive. So we gotta rally up all the survivors. You know, you gotta give them hope. Give them something important, a reason to fight back so they won't give up. And people sticking together, that's really what's gonna make the apocalypse stop. So organizations like New Frontier, Javier Group, Clementine Group, if everybody come together, it'll be a way more smoother process. But we know not everybody gonna come together. So how do we stop the apocalypse in The Walking Dead? Listen, by turning walkers into a resource of commodity, fortifying the safety zones, studying the enemies, rallying the survivors, and coming up with plans to test what hasn't been done yet. Because at the end of the day, you don't know if you don't try. So, what do you think about these points? Do you think maybe the vaccine idea could work? Do you think the commodity would help out with the walkers? Listen, with the commodity thing, I think that go a long way. Because people done hunted some animals to extinction, and with the walkers offering such a big reward if you kill them now, I think they'll be hunted to extinction as well. But listen, at the end of the day, the walker's not going to be the biggest problem. It's going to be the people. But you could only hope. If you liked the video though, like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Hit the notification bell if you want to. And we out.